Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Rutam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikim Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pandrum Langayate Giri Yadvipatamaham Vande Shri Guru Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Mandapate Gati Matsarvasya Padam Bhojo Shri Shri Radha Madana Mohana Divyadvenda Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Shri Govinda Devo Prasthali Sevya Manoswarani Srimad Rasa Saram Divam Sivata Tata Stitaha Karasalavena Svane Gopi Gopinath Shri Estuna Ajanalambito Bhujo Kanakavadato Sankirtane Kapitaro Kamalayataksho Vishwambaro Vijabaro Yugadharmapalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunayavatayo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Canto 6, Chapter 11, verse number 15. You can please bring it up on your phone and then you can repeat after me properly. Yo no agrasyatma vidud vijate I'll just say word for word. Yo no agrasyatma vidud vijate guru apapasya cha dikshitasya vishrabhya khadgena siramsi avrischa pashoriva karuna svargakama. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila. Only for the sake of living in the heavenly planets, you killed my elder brother, a self-realized, sinless, qualified Brahmin who had been appointed your chief priest. He was your spiritual master, but although you entrusted him with the performance of your sacrifice, you later mercilessly severed his heads from his body the way a butcher kills an animal. Yesterday, we came to the point where Vritrasur's army had all fled. Vritrasur's army had all fled. And they weren't willing to fight with the demigods. They weren't willing to fight with the demigods. So Vritrasura thought that let me do this by myself. And then he told the demigods that I'll face you. Unless you have attachments to your family, come and face me in battle. And then, as soon as he said that, he roared so loudly that everyone fell off. All the demigods fell off their horses, their elephants, their chariots. And then Vritrasur, with his very, very huge feet, started crushing them. Not enough to kill them. And then Indra became upset with the situation because he was the only one who didn't fall off this elephant. And then he took his mace and hurled it very strongly, very powerfully, and like a bullet, it went to Vritrasur. And Vritrasur grabbed it. And then he threw it. But he didn't throw it in a way that it would hit Indra, because he lost desire, actually. He didn't want to kill Indra. So he threw it on Airavat instead. And he did it so well that even the demigods praised him, and even the demons praised him. And Indra, by stroking Airavat and putting nectar back into his wound, Airavat became well very quickly. And then we're at a very interesting situation where none of them want to kill each other. Now, it's a battle. Vritrasur doesn't want to kill Indra, but he wants to die. And Indra doesn't want to kill Vritrasur because he's recognizing that Vritrasur is a Mahatma. And now in some verses, Vritrasur tells Indra what he really thinks of him. So he says, Svarga Kamaha, only for the sake of what? Heaven? Just for heavenly planets, which is just a place of fulfilling your material sense gratification. Only for that sake, you have killed someone who is our elder brother, Agrasya, who is Agrasya, who is my elder brother. You killed my elder brother. On top of that, Atma Vidu, Vidya, Atma. He knew the science of self-realization. He was a self-realized person. And still you killed him. You killed a self-realized person? You killed Dvijakir. Dvija means twice born. Once someone who takes birth, and the second time when he takes Brahman Diksha. You killed a twice born person. Guru. You killed someone who is Guru. तुमने गुरु का हत्या किया है. Because this same person was helping you to get your strength back. He gave you knowledge, he gave you vidya. उसने तुमको नारायण कवच दिया. He gave you the Narayan kavach which protected you. And you killed him? And apapasya. He hadn't done anything wrong to you. Generally he was sinless, but especially to you, did he do anything that hurt you? Apapasya, you killed a sinless person. If somebody had attacked you and you killed them in retaliation, fair enough, this would have been accepted. But you killed someone who is apap. And cha dikshitasya. Dikshit means somebody who initiated you and who was the official priest who was initiated to do yajna so that you could get all your powers and your fame and your strength back. And still, he trusted you fully, and you trusted him fully to reinstate you. And what did you do it for? Kyun kiya tumne? You did it for the sake of these heavenly planets. And now you. ऐसे नहीं है कि विश्वरूप इंद्र के पास आए थे that can you please instate me as your priest. You went to him. You needed him. So you went to Twasta Muni. And Twasta Muni said, here's Vishwarup, my son. Why don't you use him as your priest? He was reluctant to even become your priest because he thought, I'm so young compared to all of you. How can I, become your guru, become your priest? But because you needed him at that time and he was the only qualified person and Brahma recommended him, you convinced him, all of you demigods together convinced Vishwarup to become your guru. And yet you did this? Despicable. And what did you do this for? Just to gain a mastery over the heavenly planets? To kill somebody for your own benefit is disgusting. And to kill a guru who has all these 6 qualities which are mentioned here, that is the most disgusting thing. In fact, you're so despicable that, not even just, in the next verse we'll see, in fact I don't want to spoil it. And whatever Vritrasura was telling Indra was completely true. There was no exaggeration. For the sake of maintaining his heavenly position, Indra killed someone who was self-realized. To kill a self-realized person is a very, very, very heavy sin. So then in the next verse, it says, Shri Hri Daya Kritivir Pujitam Tvam Swakarmana Purushades Jagaryam Krichvena Machulla Vidhinna Deham Asprishta Vahanim Samadanti Vridaha. Indra, I'm going to tell you a truth. You have no beauty, Shri, opulence. Shri can mean beauty or it can mean opulence. Now someone can say, but Indra is the king of heaven. Beauty and opulence aren't really things that someone can show externally. For example, if someone is externally like their features are beautiful and they have a big house and they have nice cars and garden and all these things, but they have no compassion in them, then according to Vedic thought processes, they have no beauty. One time a disciple was looking at himself in the mirror, and combing his hair and, apne aap ko saja rahe the. And the guru said to him, what are you looking at? There's nothing to look at. You don't even have an ounce of compassion. You have no beauty inside you. So beauty, externally, that's there one day, it's not there another day. However, someone who has compassion will remain beautiful no matter what age or condition or form they are. I remember once, someone was once looking at Indra Prabhu in the Vrindavan temple. And, it was actually my sister, now I remember, Vishakha. So, she came to me after looking at Indra Prabhu just, in the temple room. He was looking at Radha Shyam Sundar. And then he was talking to a devotee and she was just watching him the whole time. And she said to me later on, she goes, Indra Prabhu externally is not very attractive. In the sense that, he had a lot of ginger hair everywhere on his body, he was short, he was chubby, and at the same time it's not like, he was sitting there combing his hair and trying to look good, he was just a sadhu. But she told me, she goes, I've never seen anyone who is as beautiful as him. So beauty really, when we look with our internal eye, is that person who has love and compassion in their heart. So here Vritrasura said to Indra, you have no Shri, no beauty. 3, you have no shame. Tumko lag jane aaya. Didn't you feel even slightly guilty when you killed Vishwarup? As soon as you killed Vishwarup, and here you are again trying to attain heaven. Jara bhi sharam nahi hai tum mein. Or daya. And you have no compassion inside you. You don't have beauty, you don't have any shame, and you don't have any mercy. And kirti veer, and you don't have any glory. Do you know why you don't have any glory? Because even the man-eaters who are on my side, Purushadaya means people who eat people. Purusha Ade. Has anyone eaten a human here? Of course not. It's a disgusting thing. You don't even think of that. But the people in my camp are human eaters. They're disgusting. But you know what they say about you? They say you are disgusting. Because theek hai wo manushya ko khate hai, they eat humans, but never have they thought of killing their guru. You're worse than them. In fact, when they gather together, these man-eaters, when they gather together, they think Indra is such a degraded person. So all these, it's not that you don't have all these qualities, it's that these qualities have left you. These qualities have thought, as soon as you killed Vishwarup, these qualities thought, we don't want to associate ourselves with such a person. And that's why every one of these qualities have left you. In fact, when we gather together, many times before the battle, before this battle took place, they said, who are we fighting? And I said, we're fighting Indra. And the people said, Thu, Indra, we spit on him. He's a disgusting person. They spit on you, Indra. And now, I'm not going to let you live. This spear of mine, which you see, I'm going to kill you with it. And I'm not going to kill you quickly, because you're such a disgusting person. I'm not going to kill you quickly. I'm not just going to slice off your head in one go, how you did with Vishwarup. I'm going to kill you slowly. I'm going to take this trident, and first I'm going to pierce you slowly. Inch by inch, it is going to reach inside you. And then I'm going to twist my trident. And you will die slowly in pain. And then you know what I'm going to do? Once you die, I'm not going to let anybody touch your body. Nobody is going to be able to touch your body. Because every person who dies, generally they have a right to a proper funeral, right? Vritrasura said, I'm not going to let anybody touch your body. In fact, as soon as I kill you, then with my hands, I'm going to just rip pieces of your body and I'm going to feed them to the jackals and the crows and the vultures, bit by bit. And Vritrasura was capable of doing this. He was a very powerful person. So then Indra asked, what if someone tries to claim my body? He said, I'll kill them before they even try to touch. I will kill them. I won't even let them come near your body. And why did Vritrasura say this? Because this Antim Sanskar, which we call in Vedic culture, this final rite, is actually very important. By burning the body, actually, there is a very favorable path that is created when the body is burnt. Just by burning the body, even if the person was quite a, you can say like a low person, not a person who didn't do many good deeds, just by doing this final rite of chanting the name of the Lord and burning the body and chanting the appropriate mantras, they get a lot of benefit from it. Our sadhus and rishis have thought very deeply before doing this. I often, when you go to like a crematorium or when you pass a crematorium, this one thought always comes into my mind, that people are dying and Christians are the largest population. But imagine if you just keep burying people and burying people and burying people, how much land one day is going to be wasted? Right? How much land will be taken up just by crematoriums eventually? Because billions of people are dying. So from a point of view of economics, it's not very economical to keep the body. And then imagine you keep the body there, so you already need like some land, isn't it? So you need some land, and then that person is buried. Now imagine when they become, that person is your great-great-grandfather. So what connection do you have with him? Are you going to go and see him? Are you going to go and pay your respects? Because your connection is with your mother, your father, and maybe your grandparents. So you visit and pay them respect. But how many people are going to go and offer their respects to their great-great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather? They might just see, if everyone is in the same place, right? Like let's say your mother, your father, his father, his father, they're all in the same place, you might recognize, oh, this is Thomas Birch, this is Edward Birch, this is Edwin Birch, and you keep going on. But what's the point? Eventually, at some point, what are you going to do? So the rishis have made a very nice system. Bhagavan ne bahut acha vidhi banaya. That as soon as someone dies, the body is just immediately burnt. And their sanskars are burnt, the body is burnt. And also it's very good for the mind of those people who are still there, that once the body is burnt, that sanskar is finished, that body has gone. Otherwise that feeling is there that this body is still here, this person is still here. And so then that attachment remains for that person. One time in Nairobi, there was an article written that some people complained to President Moi during Moi's time. People complained to him that, when Hindus burn the body, it's not very good for your lungs and for your health, because those people who attend the funeral, when you burn the body, that smoke is very bad for you. So Hindus should be banned from burning anyone's body. So what President Moi did, he sent some doctors to investigate. He said, go and investigate in the funeral and give me a report of what happens. So those doctors went and they did their little experiments that when someone attends a funeral and the body is burnt and the smoke goes inside them, is that smoke bad for you, good for you, okay for you, what? So the doctors came back with a report to President Moi that smoke actually does no harm to the body when you attend the funeral. Otherwise smoking is bad, isn't it? What is smoking? That you're just inhaling smoke and exhaling smoke. मतलब कचरा अंदर हम ले लेते हैं. We take all that tar and all of that, and then we smoke out like a much thinner type of smoke. So in a way it's stupid, isn't it? And it's harmful. And then Vitrasur basically said, and then after that, once you're fed to all the vultures and everything, guess where your soul is going to go? He said, where? He goes, hell. You're going to attain hell for all these things that you've done. So then, text 16, 17. Anyenu ye dveha nirsamsam agya yad udyat astra praharanti mahyam ter bhutanathan saganan nishata trishula nirbhinna galel yajami. You know what, Indra? This is another shlok. Indra, nirsamsam. Nirsamsam means a really cruel person. Indra, you're cruel. So Indra asked, what will happen if people come and collect my body? If the demigods come and really say, look, we want his body to do his last rites. So he says, Anye, if anyone, Anye, Anu, follows you here, Tva, then oh, you really cruel, wretched wreck. Oh, you who are unaware of religious principles, Agya. You don't know anything about religious principles. And there are people like that. In this world, they make things up. As they go along, they make up what is religion, what is not religion. We should never do this. If they attack with their weapons raised, because I'm not like you, I'm not like these demigods who were killing my army when they were running away. But if they come with their weapons raised to attack me, then I will attack them. Mahiyam. I will attack them. Mahiyam praharanti. Main usko prahar karunga usko. And with my sharp nishat, with my sharp sword, with my trishula, I will slice their heads off. Nirbhinna gale. And then, guess what I will do? I will take their khopris, I will take their heads, and I will offer them to Bhutanath, Lord Shiva. Bhutanathan, Saganan Nishata Trishula Nirbhinna Garel Yajami. I will do a sacrifice to Bhutanatha, to Lord Shiva. Why will he give them to Lord Shiva? He goes, because Lord Shiva doesn't wear a garland of flowers. Lord Shiva wears a garland of skulls. Mundamala pente hai Bhagavan Shiva. So I'm going to take each head and I'm going to throw it 1,000 miles all the way to Kailash. He could have done that, right? I'm going to, do a cricket ball throw. I'm going to take these heads of all these demigods, the thousands which I've crushed under my feet and the ones that come and try and take your body. I'm going to throw them to Lord Shiva and Kailash, and he will feel very happy because maybe he hasn't received a fresh set of heads to string a new garland for himself. This is what I'm going to do. He said, imagine how pleased Lord Shiva will be with my offering. And now one can think that, why does Lord Shiva wear a garland of skulls? Matlab, wo mundamal kyun pehante hain? On top of that, he bathes himself with ashes. On top of that, he wears a snake around him. What kind of form is this? When you tell somebody who is not familiar with Vedic settings, and you tell that person that we worship Lord Shiva. Who is Lord Shiva? Matted hair, fair enough, that's okay. He wears a snake around his neck. Then he bathes with ashes. Oh. Then he wears a garland of skulls. Oh. He carries a trident. Oh. Then he wears deer skin. Okay. So two things will happen. Either someone will say that ye koi ekdam vichitra Bhagavan hai, right? This is a very crazy person who you worship. Or someone might think, especially if you're from Kenya, they will say, "Yo ni Masai." He sounds like a Masai warrior, isn't it? And then Vitrasur said, and you know all the blood that will come after I decapitate everyone, all the blood that spills everywhere? I'll take some skulls and put the blood in there, and I will make an offering to Bhadrakali. So imagine how the lords of creation will be so pleased with me. The skulls will go to Lord Shiva and the blood will go to Bhadrakali. And this will be my offering. Because anyway, you guys are such fallen people. You're fallen because you cut your guru's head off, and these people are fallen because they attacked a warrior from behind. None of you know anything about dharma. So now, you think Vritrasura is quite a violent person, like think about his head, like what's going on in his mind. But suddenly Vritrasura now comes into his real intention. Ato hare me kula shina vira, harta pramatyeva sira yadiha, tatra arno bhuta balim vidhaya, manashvinam padaraja prapatsya. Suddenly, Vritrasura now reveals a completely different type of intention. He says, "O Hare," one of Indra's names is Hare. It could be that I cut your head off and win in this battle, but it could also be that you kill me. Me harta. Atho means something different, a different outcome. Or Atho, Hare, O Indra, me kuli sena vira. You're also a warrior. I'm a warrior, you're a warrior. You're not a weakling. So it could be that you cut my head off with kuli sena, with this thunderbolt that you have in your hand. You could cut my head off. And you could also cut the heads of not just me, but my entire army. Pramatyeva, all these people that have come with me, you could end up killing them. In that case, there will be another different type of celebration. If you die, the celebration will be that Lord Shiva will get some fresh heads and Bhadrakali will get some blood. But if I die, then there will be another type of celebration. Because I will be relieved of my debt. And also, Bhuta Balim Vidhaya. Then, because my body is so big, can you imagine the feast that all the birds and the jackals and the vultures will have on account of my body? I will be able to serve them. You know, just how Dadichi Muni was saying that at least in death, I am useful to the demigods. Main kisi ke kaam hu. In the same way, he says, my body will be so useful, there will be a massive feast. Bhuta Balim. Mera bali chad jayega isme. Or Bhut log, all living entities will have a feast. And then, Manasvinam Pada Raja Prapatsya. And I will attain, my soul will attain Manasvinam. I will attain the dust of the lotus feet of very high devotees like Narad Muni. Because he remembered, why like Narad Muni? Because he remembered that as Chitraketu Maharaj, Narad Muni instructed him on the Sankarshan mantra and how to attain the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada here says that nobody goes back to Godhead without receiving favor from a great Vaishnava. And why Narada? Narada. That person who gives the dadati, jo nar ko dete hai, that person who really gives a lot to humans, who adds something substantial to their life, that person is Narada. Jo nar ko dete hai. Everybody here in this world is generally here to take something from us, isn't it? As soon as a girl becomes young, a boy comes with a proposition. Let me in-house you and let me take your beauty, right? And the boy in return says, and you can take my youth, you can take my vigor, you can take my attention. So in this way, between husband and wife, someone is there to take something from you. This world is here. If you have some education, then this world pushes you, then create something beneficial for us with your education. Create a computer, create an app, create a program, create a device, create a game, make something, and then we'll take it from you. We'll buy it, but we will take and we'll give you something that you think is fair in return. But the point is that this world is here to take. But Narad is here to give. Narad Muni, if you see in the entire Bhagavatam, has never taken anything from anybody. Not even a shilling. He's only given. What did he do with Dhruv Maharaj? Gave him instructions. And he attained the Lord in 6 months. What did he do with Prahlad Maharaj? He gave Kayadu instructions of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam when Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb. In fact, at one point, when Hiranyakashipu went to do tapasya, right, then the demigods, because a lot of their stuff had been stolen by Hiranyakashipu anyway, so all the demigods went and attacked his kingdom, and they took a lot of wealth. So sab saman le rahe the, and they were taking it back to heaven. And then one of the demigods thought, let's take Kayadu as well because she's pregnant. And as soon as she gives birth in heaven to Prahlad, we'll kill him because this is another Hiranyakashipu in the making. So as they were going, and Indra was there, then Narad said, what are you doing? And they said, we're taking Kayadu so when she gives birth, we can kill the child. Narad said, you don't realize that in this child, in this womb, there is a very great devotee who is brewing. Don't do anything to her. So as soon as Indra heard that, as much as we're hearing the lack of glory of Indra, as soon as Indra heard this, he circumambulated Kayadu and sent her back. Because even Indra recognizes what is a great devotee. So he said three amazing, so Vritrasura said to him that if you kill me, 3 amazing things will happen. Number 1, my body will become a feast for everyone. Number 2, I will attain the dust of the lotus feet of great sadhus like Narad. And number 3, the best thing is you can remain in heaven. You will be the king of heaven, so great for you. Acha hai aapke liye, right? And he calls him here, Hey Sakra. One of Indra's names is Sakra and Vida. He says, oh warrior, you're a warrior. Because you've made 100, you've done 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas to attain this position as Indra. So you're not just an ordinary person, you're a Veer. And you have killed so many enemies, you have led the demigods into so many battles where you have won against these Asuras. But then Vritrasura started thinking deeply now. And he was very upset with his own life because he thought, I only have association with demons. Association is our biggest key. It's said, you are the summation of the 5 people that you associate with the most. Think about who are the main 5 people that you spend time with. And based on that, that's who you will become. Let's say that the person who you spend most time with loves skiing. You will end up also eventually loving skiing. Let's say that the person who you spend time with likes to gamble. Even if it's not your principle to gamble, you will end up gambling. There was one time, there were some friends who used to play poker. And they had a new friend, and the new friend said, I don't play poker. It's not my thing. So they said, okay, you don't have to play, just watch. So he said, fine. He sat there, he was watching. And after some time, they said, are you sure you don't want to play? He goes, no, I don't want to play. So then one of the friends said, let's do this. Losses are ours, winning is yours. Whatever you win, you win. Whatever you lose is our loss. So he says, so then your principle is maintained? So he said, actually, yeah, that makes sense. He goes, Aajao Maidan mein. Come onto the field. So then, after some time, winnings are his, he won some money. The next time, he didn't even need to be told, do you want to come? In fact, he was asking, when are we playing next? So after a few times, they said, look, this time, winnings and losses are both yours. He goes, it doesn't matter, I'm having so much fun. So from his principle, he broke his principle because of his association. So Vritrasura was upset that my association is only with these asurs. I am an asur, I was born with this demoniac nature, and so therefore I am part of their. I don't want to be part of them anymore. Because every single person around me is against the Lord. And so in fact, if I continue living, nobody will benefit. In fact, on the contrary, I'm shouting, I'm angry, I'm killing people. I'm a nuisance. The best thing is for me to die. So Suresha Kasma na hinosi bajram pura sthite vairini maya amogha ma samsayista na gadeva vajra shan nishpala kripana dheva yachana. Hey Suresha, Sura Isha, O King of the demigods, why don't you just hurl this thunderbolt at me? This thunderbolt, throw it. Throw it at me. I'm here in front of you. Pura sthite, main tumhare samne hu. You've got this opportunity, kill me. And I'm your enemy. Because don't think that I'm just going to stand here, because if you don't kill me, I'll attack you. So it's better that you attack me. But then Indra was thinking that I threw a club at him and look what he did to me. Not to me, but look what he did to Airavat. So if I throw, Indra was also thinking now to himself that if I throw this thunderbolt at him, because a clever warrior doesn't use his best weapon first. Yeah, they use their inferior weapon, that agar isse kaam ho jata hai, if this works, why use my strongest weapon? So he threw his gada, which was slightly inferior. But the way Vritrasur gave it back to him was so insulting that he thought to himself, imagine if I do the same now with the thunderbolt, that I throw the thunderbolt on him, and he takes the thunderbolt and then throws it back on me. And this time he'll kill me. Then what? So, understanding this sentiment, then Vritrasur said, I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking that if you throw the thunderbolt at me, it will be useless, just like how your club was useless. But I'm going to tell you, Nishpala, your club was without any fruit, because it was as if Kripanna. It was Syan Nishpala Kripana Theva Yachana. Your club is like begging from a miser. You know, there are very miserly people in this world, right? And when you go and beg from miserly people, they ain't going to give you anything. It's a complete waste of time. If they've decided that we're not going to give anything to anybody, there are some people like that. They don't like to part with even 10 shillings, 100 shillings. I was told once that someone who I know very well, they went out for lunch, and my father came and told me, he goes, guess how much, he said lunch is on me, so my father went and came back. And he goes to me, guess how much tip he gave? Yeah, because it's known he's a little confused. So he says, guess how much tip he gave? I said, how much? He goes, 1 shilling. And when he gave the tip, he put that 1 shilling, closed the bill, and kind of like did this, because even he was too embarrassed to look at the waiter in the face that I'm giving you 1 shilling. So, there are people like that. So he says, if you beg from a miser, what will happen? You'll get nothing in return. In the same way, tumhara ye jo gada hai na, this mace of yours, it was useless. But don't worry, ma samayishta. Don't worry about that. The thunderbolt that you have is amogham. It's infallible. There's nothing to counteract it. Look, Indra, I'm going to tell you a truth. My army has fled. I am here in front of you. Your thunderbolt is infallible, and you know it very well within your heart. I'm probably the biggest nuisance there is on the planet at the moment. What are you waiting for? So now Srila Prabhupada explains that Vritrasura was becoming very eager to die. He really wanted to die. So he says, Nanavesha vajras tavas sakra tejasa hare ladiches tapasa cha tejitaha Teneva Shatrum Jahi Vishnu Yantrito Yato Harir Vijaya Shir Gunastata. O Sakra. Sakra means one who has done 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas to get the position of Indra. So Indra sometimes has quite a few different names. Sakra, Suresha, Indra, Madhavan. So he says, this thunderbolt, this Vajra of yours, it has Harir Dadichi Tapaha. Tejasa Harir, it has the blessings and the power of Bhagavan himself. What are you doubting? And on top of that, Dadichi's Tapasa. It has the Tapasya of Dadichi Muni put into it. This Tapasya was not ordinary. It was the Tapasya. It's not Dadichi Muni just deciding to fast on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, whenever he feels like it. This is real tapa which was recommended in Shastra. And these bones, this thunderbolt has been infused with the power of these bones. What are you worried about? And 3 times he uses the word Hari in this verse. Harir, Harir and Vishnu. Because now this shows his desperation to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. And he said that if Vishnu is on your side, then 3 things will come to you. Yato Harir. If Harir is with you, then 3 things will come to you. Vijaya, Shri, Gunas, Tataha. You will get victory qualities. And this is not just applicable to Vritrasura. It's applicable to every single one of us in this world. That as soon as we attach ourselves to the Lord, हम भगवान से जब संबंधित होते हैं, when we attach ourselves to the Lord, 3 things come to us. Victory in our endeavors, especially noble endeavors. We will always be successful. Opulence, Shri. Opulence doesn't just mean money. It doesn't mean having, a 15-bedroom house, an 8-bedroom house, a 10-bedroom house. No. We will have inner opulences. And we will get good qualities just how Bhagavan has good qualities. So just how the Lord is equal to everyone, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, we will become like that. We will become very nice to everyone. Everyone will be attracted to us. If you want to be attractive to other people in this world, as soon as you become a devotee, you automatically become attractive to people. Think about it. If you're in the material world, does anyone in their life ever say, "My Lord, how are you?" Does anyone ever say in the outside world, "Oh Goddess, how are you?" But as soon as you come to this movement, doesn't matter who you are, Hare Krishna Prabhu, "Oh my Lord, how are you?" "Oh Goddess, Devi, how are you?" Does anyone call you mother when you're 25 years old? Do they come up to you and say, "Oh mother, how are you?" But here they say, "Mataji, how are you?" They give you the title of a mother, which is so honorific, isn't it? So from the first minute there's respect. And then as you become familiar with devotees, you're given so much honor, you're given so many blessings. What are the opulences? So the question is, what opulences do we get? You see this flower? This is an opulence. Do you know Krishna in Vrindavan? Yashoda Mai decorates Krishna every day with 3 types of jewels. She puts a diamond necklace on him, she puts a gold necklace on him, and she puts a pearl necklace on him. As soon as Krishna goes to the forest, he takes all those 3 off, puts them in a bag, and wraps that bag around a tree. And then he asks his cowherd boys, "Can we now do the flower thing?" Can we get flower garlands? So immediately the cowherd boys make flower garlands for Krishna made out of beautiful flowers like these. These are opulences. Matlab even Krishna, Bhagavan, हीरे मोती को तिरस्कार कर रहे हैं. Even he puts those things on the side. He's not interested. And when Yashoda Maya found out one day, because cowherd boys speak a lot, right? They're so simple-hearted, सब कुछ बक देते हैं. So even they said that, भैया जानते हैं कि हर रोज सुबह आप ये जो पहनाते हैं ना ठाकुर जी को, ये सब हीरा मोती, ये सब इसका माला, ताए ये कलवा जो है वो निकाल देते हैं, वृक्ष पे टांग लेते हैं. This Krishna, he doesn't wear anything. So then Yashoda Mai went, she approached Krishna and they said, Kana, सुनो, ये सब हीरा मोती नहीं पहनते हैं. I got these specially designed from the jewelers. You don't wear these things. Why? He said, Maya, they're so heavy. It's not fun to play when you've got all these heavy things. He goes, flowers are so light and nice. They smell nice. These don't smell very nice. This hira moti. Gold, it's not like you smell it. So gold is heavy. It doesn't do anything for you, really. And the cowherd boys are too simple, because why do people wear gold and why do people wear these things? Because we should look like, you're rich, you're opulent, show to other people. What is Krishna going to show these cowherd boys? They're so simple. They're not interested in Krishna's opulences. So these opulences come to us, but these opulences are different for a devotee. But for somebody who wants material opulences, the Lord will give it to them. Then he says, Vishnu Yantrita, Indra, my sources have told me that this thunderbolt was made to kill me. I know this will. Vritrasur, Vritra, the last time I killed Vishwarup, such heavy sin came on me. I don't want to sin again. Vritrasur said to Indra, you won't get any sin, because the Lord has ordered it this time. Vishnu Yantrita, Bhagavan ne kaha, and anything that you do which the Lord orders, there's no sin in it. Right? This is Gita philosophy. Arjun was so worried about his sinful reactions. So Krishna said to him, right, Sarva Dharma, ultimately, right, you're worried about this dharma, that dharma, Stri dharma, Strisu, Dushtasu, Jayasne, Varna Sankara. That is, if we kill all these people, right, then what will happen? Pradushyanti kulastriya. Dushyanti means they'll become contaminated. All these women will become contaminated because men will see an opportunity that all these women are there, let's approach them. And then they'll have children with those women. Then those children, they won't even be in the Varnashram system. Who will protect them? So aren't we messing up the whole Varnashram system just for our selfish desire for a war? On top of that, we're going to kill so many people, and not just any people, we're killing our family. And within those family, there are people like my grandfather who is actually like my guru, Bhishma, right? I'll be honest with you, if someone put that philosophy in front of me, I would have just told them, okay, you're right. In fact, let's both go. Chalo hum dono jate hain, one mein bhajan karte hain. Right? But Krishna was said to him, no. And for many reasons, explained all yoga systems to him, and he said the highest duty is for you is to fight because of your nature, but if you fight because I'm also telling you to fight, then you will get bhakti, because ultimately I want you to kill them. Sarva dharma parityaja, all these lesser dharmas, thought processes which you have, leave them. And just take shelter of me and whatever I'm telling you. Mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. So he's saying something, the same thing. Aham, not aham. Krishna tvam sarva papebhyo. Krishna will remove all your sinful reactions. Ma sucha. Don't worry. I want you to kill me. Indra, I want to die. and I want you to kill me. And this, not just you, all the sadhus want this. All the demigods want this. So many people want me to die, and even the Lord has accepted that I need to die. So why don't you do it? If you don't do it, then Dadichi would have died in vain. Bina karan, Dadichi, Muni ne apna जीवन को न्यछावर कर दिया. Without reason, Dadichi would have died. But then Indra had another problem. He said, Aham samadhaya mano yatahana sankarshana tas charanar vinde tvad vajra rambo lulita gramya pasho gatim munir yami apavido loka. Indra said, the other problem is that I'm developing affection for you. I'm beginning to really like you. So if I kill you with my thunderbolt, it will give you pain. So Vritrasur said in this verse, no, because samadhaya mano yatha. Don't worry, I will put my mind into samadhi. So first, before you kill me, I'll put my mind into samadhi and I'll meditate very deeply on the form of Lord Sankarshan. And once my Atma goes completely into this and my mind goes completely into this, at that time, if you kill me, I won't attain any pain. Sankarshanas tat charanaravinda, I will fix my mind on his lotus feet. And so I will lose all external awareness. I won't even know that I've actually died. So then Indra started wondering, Lord Sankarshan, Charanaravinda, this is coming from Vritrasur's mouth. Where did you learn all of this? So Vritrasur said, Lord Sankarshan taught me this personally in my last life. And therefore, this knowledge, this vidhi is still with me. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati. That, O Kunti, tell everyone that bhakti never diminishes. This is the proof. Let your thunderbolt kill all my material connections. Gramya Pasha. This body has so many material connections. Tear them away, Lulita. Because I want to go where pure sages reside. Gatim Munir. Yami Apavida Loka. I really want to give up this world now. I'm tired and sick of this world. I miss my Lord. I don't want to be anywhere now except in the place where sadhus are and in the place where we is. The Muni Gati in this verse means the Vaikuntha Loka. So generally, devotees who are proper and who are bhakta, after ending this life, will go to the spiritual world. Just stick in there. Don't give up. Don't give up. I know in the course of your devotional life, there will be many times where you'll feel like giving up. Maybe. Not everyone will go through that, but many do and many will. Sometimes you think that I want to give up because people are not treating me very well. I want to give up because I'm not getting the result that I wanted. I want to give up because someone is convincing me to give up. You know, this is not the highest way. Because our maturity in devotion sometimes is still weak. It's like, you know, like how a weak plant comes. And sometimes if it's just a little plant, someone can just, a kid can even just play and then just uproot the plant. So our journey is very, very tender right now. Our growth is tender. And so many times you will feel like, and it's not just you, like I know there is some African body devotees here, and some of you are quite new. And so many times it's not just you who will think this. Every single person, whether you're African, whether you're Indian, whether you're Brazilian, it doesn't matter. Everyone has these thoughts in the beginning that, am I really in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Have I given up too much? Why don't I experience life a little bit more before I get into these things? But here Vritrasur is really pushing the consciousness that it should be developed, that faith, that if we continue in this connection with the Lord, just keep pushing, keep working a little bit hard. You don't have to work extremely hard, which means that you don't have to bust your gut, but just keep going on this journey, you know. And there will be help available. Anytime you feel that we need help, pray to the Lord and something guaranteed will happen. Have that much faith. And then you come to the next level. And then there are challenges on that level, few, not so many. Then you come to the next level. Once you cross those challenges. At every step, there is a different challenge. Sometimes the challenge is other people. Sometimes the challenge is actually seeing the problem within ourselves. It's actually not other people, it's us. We learn about our own ego. Initially, sometimes we think the whole world is the problem. I'm not the problem, I'm the saint. Everyone else is the devil. And as you become a little bit more mature, you realize, maybe I am the devil a little bit. Or maybe because I'm the devil, I'm bringing out the devil in everyone else. Because everyone has two sides to them. Everyone has a lower nature and everyone has a higher nature. Now, if I take my higher nature and I associate with someone with my higher nature, I'll associate with their higher nature. But if I take my low nature, then I will bring out the low nature in someone, and so then I'll never have vision of their good qualities. So connection to this material world is as a result of one's karma. When one continues to do action in this world, he continues to bind himself. And because of binding actions, he therefore either gets higher, like heavenly planets, or he gets hellish planets. Ravan was actually an associate of the Lord. But when he died, because his actions were so horrible in a way, in the Ramayana it's mentioned that all of his wives came and surrounded him. And they were crying and they say that, oh, Lanka has become a widow because he's the Lord of Lanka. So if the Lord goes away, then the whole city becomes a widow. So he said, Deho Kritvan Giddhanam and Atma Narakahetave. So literally his wives were crying and saying, now your body, Lanka has become a widow and your body is going to become food for the vultures and your soul is going to hell. Atma Narakahetave. Imagine his wives are saying that to Ravan. In reality, he didn't go to hell, but just based on his sins, they were saying that if anyone normal acts like this, then they will go to hellish regions. They were frank. It's very difficult for wives to be frank about their husband, because normally a wife who likes her husband, you can't ever tell a wife, imagine like a husband dies and he's stolen money, all his businesses are illegal, he's had so many affairs with people, right? He's a very arrogant pig, all these things. But yet, if you can't tell a wife when the husband has died, oh, by the way, I think your husband's going to go to hell, right? She'll still think, no, my husband's gone to heaven. But very few wives have this ability to admit what their husband's real nature is like. Even Kaliya's wives, when they first approached Krishna, Krishna was dancing and he broken all of Kaliya's head so terribly, right? They were split into two, right? He was bleeding profusely from his heads, and just all the poison and blood and all the venom was coming out of his mouth. It was sickly, it was ghastly. And then the women came, the wives came, and then they started praying to the Lord. Nyaya hi danda krita kilbish asmin. Krita kilbish. Kilbish means that sinful activities. Whatever you've done to Kaliya, Nyaya. This is justice. Good. Very good. Whatever you've done. Nyaya hi danda, this punishment that you're giving him, it's actually really good for him. Nyaya hi danda. Because krita kilvish, he's done sinful activities. Tava avatara khala nigrahaya. Your avatar is for the purpose of removing the sin within people and destroying demons. Tava avatara khala nigrahaya. So Gramya Pash is important to understand here, because it's the ties of the living beings. We have so many ropes, and these ropes are being tied everywhere in this world. Uddhav has got the rope of being tied to me as his father, and I've got the rope of being tied to him. And then I've got a rope of being tied to my mother. And I've got the rope of my wife, and I've got the rope of my business. But these are all bodily connections. The real rope is my connection to the Lord. That's the only one solid rope which comes with us in every life. Every other rope completely gets destroyed when this body goes away. And in fact, some connections start dwindling as this body starts to become older. Just because I'm growing older, certain connections go. When you're young, so many people want you. When you're old, you'll see how many people want you. I once, just recently, just a few days ago, I saw this young celebrity type of person walk into a room, and everyone was surrounding them and wanted to talk to them and wanted to be with them. Right? So there's so many people around them. And at the same time, because I was looking at these shlokas, I remembered this. In fact, just that morning, and then I saw that celebrity, and the first thing that came into my mind was that when this person is 70, 75 years old, 80 years old, and they walk into a room, how many people are going to want them? Hardly anybody. So this is reality. So Gramya Pash is two types of attachment. There's attachment to material things, but attachment to material things is one-sided. Because for example, today I'm attached to a car, but the car isn't attached to me. The car has no feelings, so it's one-sided. So today I'm attached to one car, but then tomorrow I can lose interest in that car for whatever reason. I'm growing older, I'm more mature, I don't really care. Right? So now my attachment is more towards something else. So when it comes to attachment to material things, it's one-sided. However, the attachment between man and woman is two-sided. That's more difficult to let go of, because even if one party tries to let go even a little bit, the other party will not allow you. They'll come and say such nice, sweet things to you that you're all attached again. One Kartik, I remember one devotee told me that I just thought in the beginning of marriage, every Kartik I used to sleep on the floor, I used to do austerities. So he said, this Kartik, I'm newly married, but I'm going to sleep on the floor. And as soon as he started to sleep on the floor, suddenly he heard his wife, you're crying on the bed, that, you've left me. And then she cried so much, he said, all right, fine, I'll because he said like she would have cried every night. So he went back onto the bed. Okay? Not because of anything, she just wanted to feel that there's someone next to me. So even if one person tries to detach, the other person has that attachment. So this attachment between this Gramya Pash between men and women, that is very strong. It's hard to let go. And because we're attached to this body, attachment to the body leads attachment to so many other things. Food, possessions, so many things. But because Vritrasur had no attachments, he wasn't married, who's going to marry him? Has anyone heard about his form? Kaun shaadi karega uske saath? Imagine telling a woman, I've got a man for you. Okay, what's his name? Vritra. What does he do? Well, he's massive, he's like as big as the clouds. And what's his nature like? Well, he just emits sounds of anger all the time. And he dances in war cries. This is the type of husband you'll get. And you ask, how will he spend time with me? He'll pick you up from the fist of his hand and lift you up, and then he'll roar so loudly at you every now and then, your eardrums will burst. Does he sound appealing to anybody? No. So Vritrasur wasn't married yet, but he had no attachments. And he wanted Lord Sankarshan. That's all he wanted now. All these things were just remembering what Indra did to Vishwarup, and these are warriors speak. I'll pierce you, I'll take your head, I'll throw it, I'll give it to Lord Shiva as an offering. This is how warriors speak to each other, right? It's an etiquette. Warriors should speak to each other. Warriors don't, on the battlefield, warriors don't go, how are you, how was your day? It's just not a done thing. Brahmins can do that. Businessmen greet each other differently. They say, hi, how are you? Shall we get to business now? But warriors, the first thing on the battlefield is, I will split your head in so many pieces that your wife won't be able to recognize you. Right? This is how warriors are supposed to talk to each other. And then the other person has to say something even stronger. That before you even lift up your arrow, I'll cut both your arms off and you will be armless. And in fact, as soon as I cut your arms off, I'll even cut your legs. Even Ramchandra and Lakshman used to do this when they were fighting in the Ramayana. The Supreme Lord sometimes is actually saying to Ravan, this is what I'll do to you. And as a devotee, you think, Aapko ye shobha nahi deta hai. You're the Supreme Lord. Just, blink your eye and you'll destroy everything. Why do you need to reduce yourself into all this warrior talk? But the Lord, whenever He takes on a role, He does it very, very well. He gets into that role. Just like when Krishna cries as a baby, he really cries. And when he's stubborn, he's really stubborn. Just like how a child is stubborn. And if you try and look at the Lord as the Supreme Lord, then you will think, why do you need to be so stubborn? People say that the Vrajvasis went up to Nanda Maharaj one day and they said that, we're confused. Who is Krishna? After the Govardhan hill was lifted, they said, we're so confused about your child. Because on one hand, he does these amazing things like lifts up the Govardhan hill, which is amazing. But then when we interact with him, then this Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mats, all these 6 things are there in him. Right? This is so confusing. How can he do these things which are even beyond like a demigod? We think when he does these things, aise lagta hai ki ye swayam Bhagavan hai. But then Bhagavan, Vishnu, has full good qualities. He's beyond dualities. But we see so much duality in this child. Right? In fact, apart from duality, there's nothing else. At one point, he'll come and speak to us so sweetly. But it's the minute that he'll say that, okay, I've come to, you're like the sweetest aunt that I ever have. And, in fact, I think of you all day long. And she'll be like, that's so nice of you. And he'll be like, can I have some makhan now? Right? Everything that Krishna says is to take that Masi or that Gopi up to the point of agreeing with him that I want some makhan now. She'll say, Chor, badmash, nikal yahan se. Then he'll get angry at us. Then he'll say, main chor nahi ho, tu chor hai. And then he'll get so angry. And then he'll still do whatever he wants anyway. And he'll pinch our children and he'll urinate in the corner if he doesn't get what he wants. What kind of behavior is this? How is this the behavior of the Supreme Lord? This bloke is weird. Right? So, Srila Prabhupada ultimately, he says that one can fix their mind on any form of the Lord. It doesn't really matter. Sankarshanas. Lord Sankarshan, who is the Supreme Lord, you can fix your mind on him. And Srila Prabhupada here says that people are so attached in this world. Here's Dhritarashtra saying, I want to go to the Lord. But the condition of all of us is we don't want any change. And this is, it's our biggest downfall. That we don't, like for example, we're here and we need to get to here. But to get to here, you need to make a change. Because otherwise you're just doing the same thing day in and day out. So you're not going to progress. Right? Einstein says, if someone does the same thing and expects a different result, then that person is a madman. A madman is one who does the same thing and expects a different result. Except if you're chanting the holy name properly. So this is the problem. You ask anybody, right? If you ask someone from Mombasa, you have to be born again. You're going to be born again. Where would you like to take birth? He'll say, I want to take birth in Mombasa. Okay, what do you want to be? You ask a man, he'll say, I want to be a man. You ask a woman, what do you want to be? She'll say, I want to be a woman. Unless she has a really bad husband, then her desire will be that I want to be a man in my next life and my pura jeevan usko tang karu. I will ruin as a man, I will ruin her life forever. But generally, no one likes change. Everyone wants to be the same body. Imagine you're told that you will be born, today you're an African, in your next life, you'll be born as an Indian. First thing you'll think is, how am I going to handle all that masala in my life? Isn't it? Right? Nobody likes to change. So then Indra thought to himself, okay, you want to die, but you're such a great devotee, I recognize that. What if the Lord kills me and gives you Swarga? You're a better devotee than me, I recognize that. What if the Lord doesn't give me Swarga, He gives you Swarga and gets me killed instead? So now Vitrasur, we'll just discuss 2 shloks, which will just take about 5-10 minutes, right? And then we'll quickly finish off. So Vitrasur speaks 2 very important shloks here. Pumsan kile kanta dhiya swakana ya sampado divi bhumo rasaya na ratir yad dvesho udvega adir mati mada kalir vyasanam samprayasha. Vitrasur said, those people whose mind and consciousness is fixed, ekanta dhyam, whose mind, those people, Pumshan, whose mind is fixed, one-pointed, dhyam ekanta, the Lord thinks of them as His own. If you fix your mind on the Lord alone, the Lord will think, this is my person. This person doesn't belong to any one of you. Tum sab log keh rahe ho, right? Mora mora prabhu sabake hai bandhu machavat shor. Every one of you is saying that this person belongs to me, but ultimately if anyone fixes their mind on me, that person belongs to me, no matter what you people say. And then he says, when the Lord considers somebody His own, now something very, very interesting happens. He says, the Lord does not, na sampada, He does not give them opulence either in the lower worlds, He doesn't give them the opulence of any of the middle worlds, and He doesn't give them the opulence of the upper planets. Forget getting Swarga. I will not get Swarga. Because the Lord does not give Swarga to people who have their minds fixed on the Lord. In fact, forget Swarga. He doesn't even give them opulence in this world or any other world. These are why? So Indra can ask why? Why would the Lord not give this? He says these attractions, yah rati, dvesha, udvega, adhira, mada, kalir, vyasanam, samprasha. 7 things come to people who have opulence. Wealth has so many faults. So Indra says, what faults? What faults? So he said, look, Indra, you're a devotee, I'm a devotee. But the Lord looks at us differently. I'm sorry to say, but the Lord looks at us differently. With you, because you desire wealth, He's giving you Swarga. And to give you Swarga, He's giving you a thunderbolt. And because the Lord loves me more than He loves you, He's given me that thunderbolt will be used on me. I'm sorry to say, Indra, but you think that the Lord is siding with you and you've got mercy. I'm here to tell you right now that you will remain in the gutter of this world after you kill me, because you will get Swarga and I will attain the lotus feet of my Lord. And if you get Swarga and I attain His lotus feet, whose mercy does who has mercy between me and you? Tell me. Because wealth has 6 faults. Number 1, dvesha, enmity. As soon as one becomes rich, 2 things happen. They become envious of other people who are rich, or other people who are rich become envious of them. You don't even have to do anything extraordinary except become wealthy. Let's say you become wealthy in silence, And suddenly one day, you just declare, by the way, I'm worth $10 million. You're very wealthy. As soon as you declare that, automatically, without you having even said anything to anybody, there will be about 30, 40 people on day one who will just dislike you because you are wealthy. And also, you start meeting people and you will think, this person, I have a nice, what's it called, a Land Cruiser, but this person has a Range Rover. I don't like that. I don't like that. They're showing off. Your purse is this brand, their purse is this brand. I don't like them. Look how much they're showing off. It's your enmity. This is called dvesha. As soon as someone becomes a prime minister, how many people want to take that position? They are not happy that you're the prime minister. Does anyone think you're the prime minister? I'm so happy for you. Unless he's from the same party. But there's another party who are upset. There is a program called Who Wants to Become a Billionaire? Right? You can watch it online. So these are the designers, the interior designers who are working with billionaires to build their houses. And this is amazing what they say. There was one time, this lady, she said to an interior designer, I want you to build me a beautiful staircase. And just the staircase alone was 12 million shillings. Just the staircase, okay? So, fine. I'm talking about dollar billionaires. Then, billionaires have no friends. These guys said it themselves. Honestly, she goes, billionaires don't have friends. What they have is a group of people who they show off to on a regular basis. They invite them to yacht parties. They invite them to their house. The whole purpose is, see what I've got. See what cars are parked outside. See what type of yacht I have. See how big my house is. So, this woman who had a 12 million shilling staircase was invited to someone else's house, and when she saw that she had a staircase, she was showing the house, and she said to the woman, yeah, we spent like $250,000 on this staircase. And she couldn't handle it. She went back to her designer, she goes, rip out my existing staircase and I want you to spend $500,000 on it, double. Can you imagine? So literally $100,000 was ripped out, on top of that another $500,000. $600,000 was spent. Why? Because of enmity, jealousy. Then udvek. Udvek means the desire to go here, the desire to see this, the desire to taste this. The minute someone becomes rich, they don't think to themselves, I have so much money, let me go to Vrindavan, let me go to Mayapur, let me go to a holy place, Ganga jao, Haridwar jao. No. In fact, they think to themselves, let's go to Europe, let's go here, let's go there. This is called udvek. They're just always in anxiety. Oh, I need to buy this, I need to shop for this, my TV is too small, I need a bigger TV, my car is too small, I need a bigger car. They're always anxious and they need all these things. But people who don't have so much money, right, they just know that, once a year I'll go to this particular place. In India, people don't have money to travel so much. And so do you know what they do? They go to holy places and they have a little bit of a holiday in that holy place. Bichare, you know what they do? They go to Vrindavan, they go for darshan in Baki Bihari, Radha Sham Sundar, Radha Gopinath, all these things. And to treat themselves, bichare lassi pi lete hai baat. Thode golgappe kha lete hai. They have some pani puri outside, they have some lassi outside, but the main thing is, with their money, they go on pilgrimage. So who's more fortunate? The person who says, I want to go on a 7-star train tour all over Europe, or the person who has lots of money, who's more fortunate, him or that person who is in India, anywhere, Bali, Indonesia, Kenya, who says, I've saved a little bit of money and I want to go on a holy pilgrimage, I want to go to Vrindavan, I want to go to Mayapur. Who's more fortunate? Then the next thing is adhir, agitation and frustration. Because what is this agitation and frustration? Adhir, not adhir, adhir. Adhir means that as soon as someone gets money, he starts to think this money is mine. And when his family members spend that money, he becomes extremely frustrated. And then he thinks, Everyone is here to take my money. My family is here to take my money. Right? This is mentioned. I'm literally saying what's mentioned in Shastra. The taxman is going to take my money. Thieves are going to take my money. Scammers are going to take my money. And then, in fact, the worst thing is sometimes you even think, which a temple president comes to your house, the Iskcon temple president will come to your house and you think, oh no, he's here to take my money. When you don't have money, you don't think like that. You think, sadhu aaye hain hamare ghar. But as soon as you get a lot of money, you think, all right, the temple president's here, he's going to give me a penda and he's going to ask for 10 million shillings in donation. You start to think very differently. So adhir, this is another fault. And so when you're like this, when you're always jealous of someone, when you're always in frustration, when you always want something, I need to buy this, how is your mind going to think of the Supreme Lord? How is it going to be peaceful? And so therefore, to especially pure devotees, I'm talking about especially pure, the Lord does not give them money. But the Lord doesn't make them extremely poor either. So we think, oh no, if I worship Krishna, I'll become poor. No, He'll give them what they need. So there was a very nice statement which was made once by Shivaram Maharaj. I was sitting in his class and I'll always remember this. And I think, unless I lose my memory, till the day I die, I'll remember this statement. It was spoken 14 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. He says, Krishna will give you everything you need to get to Him. And if He doesn't give you something, you don't need it. So who had mercy? Indra or Vitra? So for devotees who are mixed, devotees who are not very huge, the Lord will give them money. Just like, we don't know this, but the richest man in India is called Gautam Adani. Do you know how he became rich? Whether you believe it or not, but this is how he became rich, right? He one time went to a sadhu in Barsana called Ramesh Baba. And he said to Ramesh Baba, what can I do? Now Ramesh Baba knew that this was a businessman. And Ramesh Baba just repeated something in Shastra, that if you help cows, if you do go seva, you will become rich. And in fact, he said to him, if you help these cows, you will become the richest person in India. He said it extremely casually once to him many years ago. See how powerful the words of a sadhu are. Mother, next quality. As soon as you become wealthy, you get pride, you get intoxication. Look at me. Do you know how big I am? You say these things to yourself. You act like this. I'm big. I'm accomplished. Right? People need me. I am the source of everyone's happiness. And so then such a person forgets about reality. In fact, after some time, such a person even starts doubting whether God really exists. And some people, once Radha Govind Maharaj mentioned that the devotees once were talking to a very rich person and they were saying, please come to the temple. And do you know what he said to them? He said, listen, I don't need God. You people need God. You're poor. As in you don't have money. Those people who don't have money, right? It's okay for them to go to the temple and ask for money, their needs and all these things. Tum karte raho. Keep going to the temple. Hopefully God will fulfill. I don't need God. In fact, look, I'm going to be very honest with you. Don't mind. God needs me. Right? He goes, you people, right? When you need money, do you go to Him? Or do you come to me? You come to me. You're His representatives? Correct? They said yes. And you're coming to me? They said yes. They said, so God needs me. Can you imagine? That is why some sadhus in Braj, they never put their hands out in front of anybody. They literally say, if you want to give, that's fine, we'll use it in God's service, but hum koi bhik mange nahi. Thakur ji hai hamare, wo sab denge humko. In some temples, you don't even see anything like, please give donation, this, that, the other. There's not even this concept. It's out. Some temples are like that because they don't want people to think that we are giving to God, we are giving to you people. But Srila Prabhupada, he's very clever, he turned this on their head. He turned the whole situation on its head. He says there's some people who think that God needs them, just tell them, yes, God needs you. This is the only way that they will come to the temple. Otherwise, they're so arrogant. If you tell them that you need to come purify yourself, you're egotistical, you need purification, they'll never come. So let them come and just say, yeah, we really need you. Your donation is the reason. But actually, internally, we should understand that technically the Lord needs nothing from anybody. Because Bhagavan Purna, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. The Lord is completely complete on His own. So any type of material success leads to some sort of intoxication and pride. Even in devotional service, this can happen as well. And therefore the Lord is unique. Prabhupada called for help. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that how much can I do one person? How many places can I go and preach? I need help from all of you. So they all came to help. Srila Prabhupada used to say, I need help from all of you. He was so humble. And then Kali, that's the next thing that enters. Fighting. Every day in the newspaper in Kenya, every other places, you'll see people are fighting for donation, for family wealth. This person died, left this much money behind, now the family is fighting. Chris Kirubi passed away, there's fighting for his estate. As soon as a lot of wealth is there, there is always fighting for the estate. Families fight with each other. And even in big spiritual institutions, people fight for money as well. Don't think that this is no spirit. There's one very famous spiritual institution which we all know, and 2 hours after the founder passed away, there was a big meeting inside, and the first thing all the disciples discussed was who is going to get the assets. 2 hours after the founder passed away. Vyasanam. Vyasanam means pain or it means bad habits. As soon as people become rich, especially in poor countries, or countries which are developing third world, like I can speak about India, as soon as people get money in India, the first thing they do is they get a bar in their house, they start becoming non-vegetarian, they start going to clubs, they start showing off. So bad habits come and sin enters as soon as people become wealthy, because they feel that we're not accountable to anybody. Their expenses become unnecessary. They start gambling. And if you lose money, when you gain a lot of money, and then you lose a lot of money, when you lose money, it feels like death. If you never had that money, then there's no problem. But it's when you become like this, and then you lose money, it actually feels like you're dying inside. This is the other problem. And the last one is samprayasha. Huge endeavor. When you create money, when you want to make substantial wealth, you have to make such a huge endeavor. Think about what it requires to put up a factory. You have to go to so many other countries, you have to buy machinery, you have to install it, you have to get technicians, you have to get land, you have to get construction equipment, raw materials, on and on and on. And then when you get money, then some other competitor is trying to outbid you. So then you think the only way for me to remain competitive is I need to build another factory so I can reduce my cost of production, and therefore I can stay relatively competitive. But then imagine how much of your brain goes into these things. What time do you have then for spiritual life? So then Indra says, what does the Lord do with, last verse, what does the Lord do with sub-devotees? These two verses are the most important. What does the Lord do with devotees who are not so elevated? So then he says, Traivargikasya vighatam asmat patir vidate purushasya sakra tato nemayo bhagavat prasado yo durlabha kinchana gochara anye. He says, what does the Lord do with a devotee who wants material things? who endeavors for material things. So Vritrasur says something, and please pay attention to this because you will understand so much. He says, the Lord sabotages the devotee's endeavor for wealth. As soon as the devotee tries to do something which is not good for their spiritual life, whether it's dharma, artha or kama, which the Lord doesn't approve of, he sabotages the situation. He ruins that situation. If a devotee, let's say, decides, I'm going to put up this massive, big business park, whatever, and the Lord thinks he's going to ruin his spiritual life by doing this, the Lord will act in two ways. Either he will sabotage that thing in the beginning, or he will sabotage it in the middle of the process. Do you want proof of this? Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada had this idea that I want to create a massive empire, a chemical, medicinal distribution empire, and from there I will earn lots of money and then I will preach. This was Srila Prabhupada's plan. He said this from his own mouth. So one day when Srila Prabhupada was in Lucknow, and he wanted to make his base Lucknow. So what he did, it took him years to do this. He gathered papers, he gathered an entire master plan, got approval, met so many ministers, everything. And he had on his desk one evening all the papers for approval. And all he had to do now was submit it and get a stamp for his distribution. And do you know what happened that night? Because there was a lantern of oil. You know, in those times, light used to be not light bulb, but lanterns. Suddenly, Srila Prabhupada didn't do anything. He was just standing near his desk, and suddenly he saw, it's not miraculous in that way, but somehow the lantern just fell, and in front of Prabhupada's face, the entire paperwork, which took him years to gather, burnt. Years of effort burnt in his face, and Srila Prabhupada said, I saw my career burning in front of me, and immediately I realized that this was not anybody else but Krishna doing this. And on top of that, Srila Prabhupada says, and then when I went home, I find out that my wife has sold the Bhagavatam for some tea. So therefore, if you read Srila Prabhupada's books, he'll say that Krishna forced me to preach. He forced me to live this life. Because Prabhupada could see it. He said he wanted me not to become rich. I was forced by God to leave home and preach. Srila Prabhupada said this. There's other examples. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they were different. They didn't want money. They didn't want to become rich, but they were made home minister and finance minister. And still, and they wanted to join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so then one night the Lord arranged that when Rupa Goswami was going on his pipe, when he was going, then it was a rainy night, and one person said suddenly, who is this? He said to his wife, who can this be? In the middle of the night they're walking, because when it rains in the middle of the night everyone stays indoors, right? Because in those times there weren't cars and all these things. So people used to stay indoors. So the wife said, who could this be? So the husband said, it could only be one of three people. It's either a dog, right? It's either a dog, a thief, or the servant of a king. It could only be one of these three people. And it was Rupa Goswami. So he thought to himself, oh my God, I am all of these three. Main kutta hoon. Because under a Muslim rule, I am having to do so many things that I don't want to do, and I'm simply wagging my tail in front of my master. And I'm a thief because I come from such a rich culture, but I'm feeding another culture so that they can break my own culture. So I'm a thief, and also I'm the servant of a king. That's why in the middle of the night he can just summon me like this. Main bhajan kar raha tha aaram se, and then now I have to go and do some duty in the middle of the night. And that suddenly made Rupa Goswami want to leave everything. Went straight to Sanatan and said, I'm leaving now. So the Lord ruins people's plans. This is what he said. That's why he says, Traivargasya. If anyone wants something, Bhagavan Vighatam Asman. Vighat means he attacks that very plan of yours. Patir Vidate Purasasya Sakra. Hey Indra, he ruins their plans. Bali Maharaj, the same thing happened. 99 yajnas to become the king of heaven. Who ruined it? A 1.5-foot dwarf came and ruined the whole plan. A mosquito can ruin your plan in the form of the Supreme Lord. Don't be surprised. Sometimes the Lord gives someone a big disease. We don't realize. He doesn't have to just take away your wealth. Sometimes everything's normal, but the Lord will give you a big disease. What are you going to do? And so when a devotee sees that the Lord is destroying my plans, don't think that the Lord is against you. In fact, the opposite. Vritrasura is instructing all of us. Do you not realize how much the Lord likes you? Do you not realize how much affection He has for you? Bali Maharaj was so happy when Vaman took everything away from him, because he was so realized. Because we're not realized, when the Lord takes stuff away from us, we get a little bit upset. Why did you do this? So ordinary people will not understand this Vritrasura is saying. So some people think, so then what, I'll do bhakti and I'll lose everything? No. No. The Lord will make everything, whatever you don't need, whatever is bad for you, whatever is an obstacle, He will personally take away. And whatever is good for you, He will keep or He will add it. Yoga kshemam vahamyam. And if you have a lack of something, He'll fill up that lack. You continue your endeavor as much as you want. But if the Lord doesn't like it, He'll come and stamp on everything and He will spoil everything. And so Vritrasura, he spoke like this. So that you have to be Anumeya Bhagavat Prasad. You have to understand when the Lord is giving mercy to you. Don't misunderstand the situation, because the Lord can take your health, He can take your wealth, He can take your opulences, He can take your family, but He only does so when you become especially dear to Him. Otherwise, the Lord doesn't bother with anyone. Here you are, this is the karmic system, work within the karmic system. If your karma is there to become rich, you'll become rich, no problem. If your karma is there to stay poor, you will stay poor. But as soon as someone becomes a devotee, the Lord takes interest in their karma. Alright, what is going to ruin their spiritual life? Let me have a close look at this. He'll put on his glasses, he'll look very carefully at exactly what karmas are going, or what activities are going to ruin your spiritual life, and he'll actually tell Srimati Radharani, let's axe all of these things. Ye sab nikalte hai bahar kar lete hai ye sab cheezon ko, because this will not help. Vritrasura, a demon, is giving us this knowledge. And so then ultimately, when he gave this knowledge, then he gave this knowledge to Indra, and then after giving this knowledge, Indra spoke 2 verses that you're such a great soul, and yet I'm materialistic. We demigods don't have your fortune. And then Vritrasura he started to attack Indra so that Indra would attack him. And so first he fled into the sky, Vritrasura. He went into the sky as if to attack Indra, and Indra released the thunderbolt, because now Vritrasura gave him full assurance that nothing will happen. You will remain the king of heaven, but you will remain in this gutter. Kill me, and at least you do the one good thing by sending me to the Supreme Lord. Good. And so then one arm got cut off. So his Trishul got devastated, and then his arm got cut off. And then Vritrasura was praying, with one arm cut off, he was praying beautifully to the Lord. He was looking in all directions, and he was saying to the Lord just how a bird looks for you. When my mother goes away, the bird is always looking to see when is the mother going to come back. So just how a bird looks for you, I'm looking for you. Or just how when the calf gets pulled away from its mother and is calling out to his mother for some milk, I'm calling out to you. And just how when the husband leaves home and the wife is always waiting for the husband to return, I am waiting for you, I'm waiting for you to return to me. Meaning I am waiting to return to you. In the middle of a battlefield, when one arm was completely cut off, this was Vritrasura's state. This is Mahabhagavat Vritrasura. And so then Indra, with 2 arms cut off, and he said he looked so beautiful, Vritrasura did, at that time. Because warriors look beautiful, very interestingly, when their limbs are cut off. That's what they're born for. And finally, even in this state, when his when Vritrasura had no arms left, he still continued fighting. You know what he did? He swallowed Indra and Airavat. That's how big he was. He swallowed them. Right? And then Vritrasura sat and concentrated on the Supreme Lord, because he still felt that Indra doesn't want to kill me. Why doesn't he kill me straight? Why is he cutting off this and cutting off that? Just kill me straight. So to entice him, he swallowed Indra and Airavat. And so then Indra with Yog Siddhi became so small, and then with his thunderbolt he pierced Vritrasura and he came out. And all the demigods were thinking, Indra's died, oh my god, what's going to happen right now? Vritrasura, he just swallowed him, he didn't eat him. So Indra came out eventually using his Yog Siddhi, and then Indra said, alright, now I have to do what I have to do. And then he took his thunderbolt and he threw it straight on Vritra. Vritrasura's skin was so thick, it took the thunderbolt 1 year to cut around. Bit by bit, it was slicing Vritrasura's neck. So for 1 entire year, Vritrasura hadn't died. And everyone was waiting patiently that when is this going to happen? No one wanted to celebrate until that entire year was over. Because you know demons, they have this thing, right? We see it in movies all the time, don't deny it. That just when you kill a demon and you think there's victory, you think, so they just, at the last minute, they opened up their eyes and then they try and, stab the other person. So you're only dead when you're actually dead. So everyone was just waiting, when does Vritrasura's head get completely sliced off? So when his head was completely sliced off, that's when everyone became extremely happy. And Vritrasura was in Samadhi this entire time. So he didn't even realize. Sadhus who are very elevated don't even realize when death comes. Ajamil had no idea when he attained his spiritual swarup and when he gave up his material body. So the same thing happened to Vritrasura. They all celebrated. Indra, on the other hand, became so devastated for killing such a great exalted Mahabhagavad that he left straight away, and he didn't know what to do, and he hid inside this lake called Manasarovar for an entire year. And he didn't even eat anything because he felt so horrible. Even when Agni tried to bring him food, even Agni was scared that if I come to Indra, then some sin will come to me. I'll be like an accomplice. So he didn't go. But ultimately, because of Lakshmi and Vishnu's influence, the sin was removed. Then he went to the demigods, and all the Brahmanas and Brihaspati and everyone said, don't worry, come, we'll do an Ashwamedh Yagya in the name of Vishnu. And then he became, so they did the Yagya, and he completely became free of any sinful reaction. And now this brings to conclusion the Vritrasura Katha. Boliye Mahabhagavad Vritrasura ki, Boliye Rukmini Dwarkadesh ki, Boliye Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Boliye Jai Jai Shri Radhe. I'm sorry that today I took half an hour more than I was supposed to, but I really wanted to finish these 2 shlokas, which were the most important. Hare Krishna. Okay, I have a separate announcement. Avid Prabhu has a very important book with him. Some devotees have come together and worked very hard for 10 years to produce this amazing book. It's called Kirtan Revolution.